Beauty is in the eyes of the beholder, a phrase we've heard several times. But is that still the case in a world dominated by social media filters, influencers, and photo editing apps? Today, we dive into a topic that determines how we see ourselves and how the world sees us. It's Disruptive with JHAY on Universal TV Africa. And I have great minds today that are going to help me dissect this very pivotal subject. Transformative speaker, coach, and youth development professional, Mr. Val Okafor.
Thank you very much, Jay.
Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you.
It's nice to have you on Disruptive. Joining him to address this subject is media personality and entrepreneur, Ms. Ugonna Owajumogu.
Thank you, Jay. Happy to be here.
Thank you for joining me on the show. It's nice to have great minds on the show. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you very much.
Stay tuned with us. We'll be back after this break. In a world oversaturated with sugar-coated talk, this is the space where comfort zones go to die and real conversations come to life. This isn't your average talk show. This is the collision of intellectual rebellion and revolution. Here we break boundaries, challenge the status quo, and tear down the walls of mainstream thinking. I'm not here to sugarcoat the truth, and I'm certainly not here to make it comfortable. I'm here to disrupt. No filters, no safe zones. Here we address the topics that make you uneasy, conversations that stir discomfort and provoke reactions. I talk about the things they don't want you to talk about, the things that challenge your very beliefs, that spark debates, that make us question who we are and what we stand for. You might not like what you hear, you might not agree, and that's okay, but what you will do is think, and that is exactly the point. This is not about offering easy answers, it's about asking the hard questions no one dares to raise. So if you're ready to push past the noise, if you're ready to get uncomfortable, then buckle up, because the disruption starts now. I am Jay Harbour, I am the disruptor, and this is Disruptive with Jay. Welcome back to Disruptive with Jay on Universal TV Africa. Well, that's it. Let's dive into the hot topic for the day. Beauty standards, self-esteem. I want to understand, who exactly determines what is beautiful or what is not? Is it a factor of nature or nurture? Or are these standards being constructed by social opinions? I want to understand. I want to get a grasp of it. I'll start with you, Mr. Val.
Thank you very much, Jay, for that all-important question. The first thing I would love to say to anybody who is listening at this point in time is that to be beautiful means to be yourself. You know, so nobody determines how beautiful you are except you. And if you see yourself from that perspective, that's the way every other person will see you. Jay, let me ask you this question. Who made the laptop on your table?
Who made the laptop on my table?
Do you know if it's blind?
Oh, certainly not. I can't tell.
What if he's sitting on a wheelchair right now?
I can't tell.
Nobody cares. See, the world celebrates the value you bring to the marketplace. So until we realize that, then we'll stop listening to the opinions of people. We'll stop waiting for people to set the standard of beauty or handsomeness. To be beautiful means to be yourself. When you are yourself, you're beautiful and you're handsome.
I think a lot of people share this perspective, but we live in a modern world. Certainly, we cannot deny that there are some societal norms that have been set out there. So what's your take on this, man?
Well, I think when we talk about beauty, we must first talk about preference. So, for example, everybody or most people have a favorite color. For some people, their favorite color is red, it's blue, and I think it's the same with beauty. And I think different societies have different standards for what they would call beauty. So beauty is subjective and objective at the same time. I understand where he's coming from. It's a very healthy approach to seeing yourself.
I agree.
I completely agree with him on that regard. However, we live in an active society, a society that determines what is right and what is wrong, a society that says this is how you drink, this is how you eat, this is what you do, this is how you dress. So we must in some ways conform to society. And who determines beauty? It's all about preference, let's start with. So different societies have different standards of beauty. So in some communities, they would see a woman who is very slender, tall, they would see her as the of beauty. And there's some people who would see a woman who is more robust, who is bigger and say, okay, this is what is hot and this is
Beautiful.
popping.
Yeah.
And there's some people who say, there are men who look a certain way and this is what we call beauty. So it all depends on where you live, the society in which you live, and what they determine beauty to be.
Yeah.
That's the way I see it.
Thank you for that perspective. Mr. Val, I'm coming back to you. I
Okay,
see you're
yeah,
eager
sure.
to say something.
Yeah.
You want to respond to that?
Yeah, please.
Of course, I understand these things exist, but don't you think that sets a very high expectations, for people who may not conform? So if we live in a society where slender women are seen as beautiful, what happens to those who are chubby? Well, body shaming comes into play.
Yeah.
That's why I came from the perspective of beauty is being yourself. Handsomeness is being yourself. And when you are yourself, then there's no expectation, then there's no competition trying to become like someone else, right? That's just...
But what is society without a bit of competition?
Yes, I would argue though that being yourself eliminates expectations, or perhaps it eliminates it for you, but it still exists out there. I started with the phrase, beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. I understand you're approaching this because of the question I asked, who are we actually beholding to now? But since you have brought gender into it, let me narrow it down
She said
to that.
something, she asked the question, what society without a bit of competition? Yes, these things are natural.
Yeah.
Now the expectation is that these women or men begins to change the way they look. So the girls, they go for, what's it called? BBL.
BBL?
Yeah, you see, and some of them end up dying in the process because they want to meet up with some form of expectation and standard. Why not be yourself? That's what I'm saying, right?
I completely understand him. I still struggle with people who have actually not gotten to a point where they can see that beauty in them. A lot of us don't really have that strong will as far as responding to what the public thinks.
Yeah.
But then you mentioned the BBL.
Yes.
Trends, standards. A while ago, you have to be pretty slim to be considered beauty.
Yeah.
Media, social media culture, the entertainment industry, they've redefined that.
Yes.
You have to look a certain curvy way to be considered the beauty or made for for the stage. I don't quite get it. And gradually, it's beginning to evolve again. They've come up with what they call slim tick. So it's ever crazy. Narrow it down to gender because I want to get this. Do women feel pressured to meet beauty standards primarily determined by men's expectations? Is that a fact or an interpretation? I'll start with you.
Okay.
Let's go and say something.
Well, the thing is yes or no. So you're asking if women meet beauty standards because of men or maybe because of themselves.
Yes, is there really a pressure on women from men?
Of course, there's a lot of pressure.
It's a fact?
Yes, even from the day you are born, especially as a woman, you are told you're sort of groomed to please a man, if I don't have better words for that. So right from the day you are born, from being a child, they put your hairs in, their hairstyles, they put your hair in different bubbles or whatever we used to call them as kids. You're being groomed as a child, as a girl, to know that, okay, you have to be beautiful. As a child, you're being told, oh, beautiful girl, oh, you should be beautiful. So yeah, there is that pressure to meet the standards of men. There is pressure for men as well, because again, like I said, beauty is down to preference. When you come into a society, and let's say you go into a society where men love women who have big breasts and big bums and maybe a tinier waist, it would fall onto you to say, okay, you know what, I have to meet this beauty standards because this is the way that I will get attention from men. So the question is, what do you need attention from men for? For some women, it's for security. For some women, it's for security of family. You want to get married, you want to have kids. Obviously, men feed with their eyes. So they see what they like and they go for it. So there are a lot of women who are pressured to look a certain way for men. And obviously, on the dark side, there are some women who are pressured for men in terms of, my friends and I call it an investment, in terms of this
I
kind
get
of man
that.
will pay your bills, and this is the kind of women that he likes to look at. So you see women go and alter their bodies. I've seen women change their bodies in their late 30s or even 40s, and I'm wondering why, and they're telling me this is an investment.
Yeah.
The Ogada will see me and like my behind. She knows what she's doing.
Gonna get from me.
So there is that. But I do understand where he's coming from, where he says that you must love yourself. But you live in two worlds. You live in your own world, and you live in the world that society gives you.
Exactly.
And I think it's politically correct for you to say, oh, you must love yourself as you are. You don't need to make any effort. I think it's a very sweet thing to say. But we are living in society, and we must be realistic. I think humanity, both men and women, need to find a balance when it comes to beauty standards. And to also understand that you also shouldn't feel so pressured, because beauty standards are always changing.
True.
There was a time where you needed to be as skinny as Kate Moss to be considered beautiful.
True.
There were times where then the Kim Kardashian era came out where, because back then, if you watch some old Hollywood movies, you see them make fun of people with big bums.
Big bum, yeah.
And now it's being appreciated.
They have names for
them.
them.
And then in some places now, the big bums are not even being appreciated. You see some people saying, if you have a BBL, you look cheap.
Yeah.
I think to look more exquisite and to look more sheer.
They query your self-esteem.
Yeah, you must look, you shouldn't have such a big bum. You should just look, I don't know the word for it, maybe average or something. Yeah. So beauty standards are always changing.
Evolving.
So I think to marry both of our points together is that you need to be comfortable in yourself.
In your skin.
But you also have to I don't believe you shouldn't make an effort.
True.
I don't like that. I don't like when people say, oh, I look exactly like this, my hair is tattered, my skin is, my skin looks like sandpaper, I'm going to let it go like that, especially when you can afford to make some changes. So
I'm coming to that.
So you must know that there are two worlds that you live in. You live in your world, and you live in general society.
Yeah. So, Mr. Val.
Yes, I get your point, Mr. Gugona.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question, then
okay,
you can marry
fine.
everything together.
Great.
Because I've heard several times, I've even heard women who blame men for the pressure they see. Is that a fair assertion to make most times? Because most men will argue, I'm not pressuring you. You are being pressured by your fellow women. You are trying to look like your fellow women, and your fellow women are trying to determine what is good, what is beautiful, and what is not. Some men will argue that's not on me. That is women versus women. I know what I like. He knows what he likes. The other person knows, but women are sort of in this struggle. Is it fair to completely put the blame on the man?
All right. So let me respond to what you said. Nobody is saying look tattered or don't take care of yourself. All we're saying is just, that's where healthy self-esteem comes in. Yeah, when you understand who you really are and the value you carry. So we live in a patriarchal world, especially in Africa, where people do things to satisfy the tastes of men. So, the competition that exists is to how do I appear so that I can be appreciated by more men, So the struggle is actually within that space.
Is that actually a fact?
It's a hypothesis.
All right.
Yeah, because we have seen it play out. Why do you buy the wigs? Why do you look a certain way? Why do you go to adjust your bums and increase the size of your breasts? Are you trying to feed a child? The answer is no. It's because somebody somewhere.
You continue.
Right.
Forgive me for cutting you short.
Okay.
Please, we have to go on a commercial break. Stay with us. Get your popcorn. We'll be back soon. In a world oversaturated with sugar-coated talk, this is the space where comfort zones go to die and real conversations come to life. This isn't your average talk show. This is the Coliseum of intellectual rebellion and revolution. Here we break boundaries, challenge the status quo, and tear down the walls of mainstream thinking. I'm not here to sugarcoat the truth, and I'm certainly not here to make you comfortable. I'm here to disrupt. No filters, no safe zones. Here we address the topics that make you uneasy, conversations that stir discomfort and provoke reactions. I talk about the things they don't want you to talk about, the things that challenge your very beliefs, that spark debates, that make us question who we are and what we stand for. You might not like what you hear, you might not agree, and that's okay, but what you will do is think, and that is exactly the point. This is not about offering easy answers, it's about asking the hard questions no one dares to raise. So if you're ready to push past the noise, if you're ready to get uncomfortable, then buckle up, because the disruption starts now. I am Jay Harbour, I am the Disruptor, and this is Disruptive with Jay. Welcome back to Disruptive with Jay on Universal Television Africa. Now, before the break, we posed some tough questions about beauty standards. Who sets them? Who is benefiting from them? Who is determining what determines what the standards are? And Mr. Val, before the break, you were trying to
So Jay,
respond.
I was talking about the patriarchal nature of Africa and Nigeria and even the world. So we live in a patriarchal society for the men. So most things that are done is to please men. It's a hypothesis, but from observations and the reactions, we have seen this. Like a man will say, until you give me a male child, I don't consider you fertile. I mean, this is somebody who has like 3 daughters. You see, because of all of these societal expectations,
it's fair to maintain.
So we live in a society for men, right? So, but the competition I have seen from my observation is within these women. You know, they're trying to, I want to look good.
And I do the other?
So when I do this, I will be selected or I'll be handpicked by the men, you understand? So I think that the men knows what they want. At the end of the day, they know what they want at the end of the day. So when they want to settle down, they go and wear their glasses and look properly.
For what they actually want.
What they actually want.
I know she's waiting to respond to you.
That's one that did the enlargement. And in the minds of this man, they're like, okay, someone else is probably pressing a button somewhere and asking you out, and I'm not sure how many people you've responded to. So, you know, so when they are ready to settle down, they go look for that one that is slim, you know, and meet their standards.
I know you want to respond to that.
Okay, first of all, I will start by saying that women naturally have an affinity for beauty and makeup.
It's natural.
And it's not always, or rather, it doesn't always have to do with a man.
With the man.
I'm not going to deny that a lot of our beauty standards are to please men. Of course, it exists. You know, that might even be the foundation. However, women, we do enjoy makeup. We do enjoy looking good. I mean, it's part of the economy, right? I'm wearing makeup. There's some brands who are making money for the fact that I purchase it and millions of other people purchase it. So let me put that there. Let's put that there. However, again, yes, there is that pressure from men. So when you say men, at the end of the day, they sit down and then they wear their glasses and they choose who they want to be, they still go for these other women who you might think, oh, they're doing too much.
Yeah.
There are men who are married to women with the BBLs and give them everything.
It's about preference.
Yes, and there are people who look at them and say, you know what? This is what I want. And there's some men who say, you know what, I'm not into all that plastic. I'm not into, I need my woman looking natural. I want her to come as she is. So again, it all falls on you as a woman to determine what you want for yourself. That's why I told you, I agree with him when he says that you must love yourself. I believe you must make improvements on yourself because we live in a general world. Even men, even women take out their time to look nice. Why are you wearing a suit today?
Because I want to look dapper, man.
Exactly, because you're falling. So are you doing it for another man? No. Are you doing it for another woman? Because that is how you want to be addressed.
Absolutely.
For example, if I was a real estate agent and I wanted to go sell a house that would probably cost ₦1 billion, I would make sure that I look my best. I'm not looking my best because I want whomever is buying the house to say, oh, Ugonna, I like you, give me your account number. No, because I want them to take me seriously. So the way you dress, there's a way you dress and you walk into a place and people know that, okay, I'm not going to speak to you rudely because I don't know who you have behind
Determining
you.
how
I
you
don't
are
know
dressed.
who you are. Do you understand? Even in Nigeria, the car you drive even determines how you move around.
Oh, that's all stretching it.
Yes, I remember one time I went to this bank in Maitama I went there twice because they didn't resolve the issue I had. The first time I went in an Uber, and they didn't let the Uber drive into the bank. They just said, oh, car park is full. And the next time I went with my father's car, and it was an SUV, and the place was packed, but they opened it up for me. Why? Because of the way the way I presented myself. So what I'm trying to say is that it's not always about men. Yes, a huge portion of it can be about men, and that is, it might be unfair to say it's all because of men, but it is still about men. Men also determine the standards. Have you seen when men sit down to drink beer and talk about what they like in a woman? I mean, there are few people who might say, I like my women natural, but you still see them on Instagram liking the pictures of the women with the big behinds, and the women are not blind. So if I'm a woman who is with a man and I see him all over Instagram, he's liking pictures of women who do not look like him, who are not big, who are slender, who might even be dark skinned, who might be maybe the kind of hairs they do are different. I might feel a little insecure. Are you sure you're into me? Because there is this thing where people just have a person, I call it you will do for the moment, right? Until they meet somebody that a lot of you out there are placeholders, both men and women. I'm telling you, you might not know.
The show is disruptive. You can tell them that.
Yeah, I'm telling you, you are a placeholder. The minute your man or your woman finds somebody who is, some of you that are with you because they don't believe they can do better.
Yeah.
So again, there is that pressure. And that's why I always go back to what he said. So in order to counter that pressure, you must love yourself. As yourself.
No, amazing. Mr. Val.
Yeah.
I share the opinion that men themselves are equally victims of societal pressure as far as beauty standards are concerned. Probably because it's not addressed more, but you deal with your development, you have at close range, you hear them. Is this true?
Well, I think I work with a younger population, age bracket 18 to 35 across Africa.
That's usually where it starts.
So for me, I think that this expectation of I want to be with the best woman, like, when men sit to talk about the kind of women they want, so to say, I want this, I want that, I want this. So there's this form of pressure to hustle so that I can. So they see the women as a trophy. And that's where the problem is. So when you see a woman as a trophy, you already objectify her. So everything you're doing is to get that trophy. And when you get the trophy, what's next? So I believe that you should love somebody for who they are and not necessarily what you can see, because what you can see can change. Like quality of character, that's and all of those things. That's what I preach. That's what I tell them. Don't be things driven, Jay. And you listening to me, don't be things driven, be person driven. You understand? Be person driven, don't be things driven, because things can change. I used to give this example. If Messi walks in here and holds a ball, everybody is going to price that ball above $100,000. But if I hold that ball, you might price it less than $500. You see, there's nothing wrong with the ball. It's who is holding the ball. So the value of a person transfers to an object. So that's why. So we must develop our person.
That's a strong one. I think I'll jot that down later.
I agree.
I also wanted to come in there, but approaching it from a different context. I don't have the beards. I don't have the beards. I know people who the factor they consider when they are determining who is a handsome man or not. You've got to have the beards and the bulky and that. Doesn't it work across board? Don't you think men too are also?
I will see. Maybe I'm the wrong person to ask this question because I also feed with my eyes. I like a fine boy. I like a fine man. So I think a lot of women also appreciate a good-looking man. Even if you're not conventionally handsome, you see women will pick up a man who isn't so handsome and give her 3 months. The guy is looking better than he looked before. So, I mean, there's things that...
He's giving you the money yesterday.
No, it's not even about money. It's not even about money. It's about, first of all, I believe women have a better refined taste than men. It shows in the way, if you go to a woman's house and go to a man's house, there is a significant difference in the decor
aesthetics,
and
the
everything,
decor,
aesthetics and all of
absolutely.
that. So that comes to play. But I believe that some men are also precious, because I also think the world is not easy for short men.
No.
You see, as opposed to being
Okay.
being a fat person or being a
Disrupt.
big person, you can always lose the weight.
True.
Do you understand? If you don't feel comfortable in your weight, you can always lose
Lose
it.
it.
But if you're a short man, there's nothing you can do about it. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So there is that pressure on men as well. And there are some men who cannot grow a beard, and they believe that they would look better with a beard.
Maybe.
You see some of them, it can't connect like some of this. I won't mention the mobile network, but it's not connected.
I get it.
And you see them, they're trying so hard. You see some guys, their headline starts from midfield, and
Yeah.
it's still, they're still trying so hard.
You said it's midfield.
Yeah, it starts from midfield. You see, and now they are going to Turkey for hair implants
the
and all of
implants,
that.
yeah.
So there is also the pressure. It's just that it's not as much as with the women, because we
Women.
are trained to see men as the prize. Like Buche Macheta said in her book, a man is not ugly.
Man is not.
And when a man has money, I've seen some very beautiful women.
Yeah, you
and
can agree with that.
they're married or they're dating with men that only their mothers can love. Do you understand? Meaning they don't look very appealing to the eyes.
Yeah.
And it's different for women. How often would you see a very beautiful man who's got money married to a woman who is not of his taste or the general taste? So men also feel that pressure. It's just that I have this thing where I say, exceptions do not negate general facts.
True.
As well as general facts do not negate exceptions.
Exceptions,
Do you understand? It's just that I'll use Nigeria for example, or even on a global scale, the world is patriarchal. The world is patriarchal. Men are the prize. You see, men will get divorced today, and a year later he's married to another person. That person will probably divorce. Maybe the man could even be a bad man, but he would have a plethora of wives all through his lifetime. But you see, good women, either they stay in a loveless marriage, or once they're out, before they get back into another one,
It's
they need
quite
to
difficult.
go for, they need to wake up every morning on NSPPD. Just, sorry, did I? I'm just trying to be honest. That's how life is. It's unfair. It's very unfair. I feel.
Well, the
Times
summary of
may
it is life is actually
Yeah,
unfair.
it's unfair.
Life is actually unfair.
Yeah.
We are restricted by time. I would love to continue this conversation some other time. I bet my audience are willing to hear what more we have to say, and that is what happens when you have such brilliant minds on the show. Thank you so much for coming on the show,
You're welcome.
Mr.
Thank you,
Val.
Jay. I appreciate you.
I can't. I have some jotting to do after this. And Miss Ugonna, that was amazing.
Thank you.
We really should do a part 2 of this topic. Thank you so much for coming.
You're welcome.
Well, there you have it, folks. Beauty standards. We are all victims one way or the other. At the end of the day, the ball is in your court. Still disruptive with Jay. I'll see you next time.